Hey everyone, I'm Jagriti Pandey and I welcome you to another episode of Mentally Stronger. Today's guest is Miss Achla Bhardwaj, who is a Neuro-Linguistic Programming Coach. She has trained more than 500 people in bringing positive shifts in their lives. She has worked with people from all walks of life, including housewives, students, professionals, and help them in dealing with their problems like depression, insomnia, phobias, trauma, and other events from the past. Her own journey is quite inspirational, where she transitioned from a 9 to 5 corporate job into starting her own very successful coaching practice. In the process, she found her own limiting beliefs, questioned them, changed them, and ultimately found her own life's true purpose. A woman of sheer grit, it is hard to miss her immense optimism and the passion for the work that she does. Let's welcome her. Thank you so much, Ms. Achla, for being here with us, and I'm so glad to be talking to you. So, you are a
Thank you,
transformation
Jagriti.
coach, right? So, I want to understand a bit about like what kind of transformation, what do you do, and then we'll start more on the questions.
All right, sure. So, transformation basically means like my job is to train people and through the trainings, transform their minds, their lives, actually transform their minds, and eventually the life also transforms. So, how I do that is through using a set of tools of NLP and like the 5 days training programs that I do, that really helps people to uncover a lot of uh, things about themselves, lot of patterns about themselves, and once they discover, then the life doesn't remain to be the same as it was earlier,
Wow.
because everything is there in their deep unconscious mind, and they are sort of not aware.
Right.
So I am sort of a catalyst to bring about, that awareness to them, and that's how they get transformed.
I would like to understand that what is NLP and how it aids transformation.
Oh, wonderful question. So NLP, the full form of NLP is Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Okay. Now, in simple layman terms, what it means is neurology. Neuro is a neurology. Linguistic is the language that we use to communicate with ourselves and to the others. And programming is like our behavior in literal sense, right? So how I use NLP for transformation is basically using the mind or using the neurology and the kind of communication that we have, changing it from unresourceful to resourceful, thereby making the behavior more powerful, more resourceful, and more, and naturally the behavior, when it's more resourceful, you start on a journey of excellence,
Yeah,
right? And when that is done, you are already transformed.
true.
So it's in simple terms, it's like how you identify unresourceful patterns in people, change those patterns, reprogram them, and make them into more positive and powerful outcomes, so that they are like on a different path altogether of life.
Wow. You said something which is very interesting. You talked about patterns, right? So
Ah,
do you think or have you seen from your own experience that everybody do people have patterns and do they keep
oh
repeating?
yeah, yeah, all the time. We are nothing but a set of patterns. I mean, each individual is a set of patterns. Okay, I'll give you an example.
Mhm.
When you wake up in the morning, which foot do you put on the floor first?
Right, I guess.
Okay,
I don't even know.
so yeah,
Yeah.
right. Now, if you said that, okay, I think right, just observe from tomorrow. It's the pattern is like as small as putting your step. And if you watch yourself 3-4 days, you will understand that every day you are putting your right foot first, and you're doing this unconsciously without even your awareness,
Right.
right? So patterns are like all over. And one of the ways that we identify people who are in a resourceful state or in an unresourceful state is just by calibrating their patterns, right? So people have patterns of physiology, they have patterns of language, they have patterns of thinking, they have patterns of values, they have patterns of beliefs, they have patterns of behaviors. So it's like any person is a culmination of many different patterns of what kind of people they interact with, patterns of what kind of programs they watch. So if you so we as transformation specialists, we identify patterns in people, right? And without even their telling that, if we have like a good chunk of their patterns, we identify that, oh, okay, this is how this person is possibly behaving, or working, or he's leading his life in this particular way. And 99% it's like correct.
Oh wow, this is amazing. Spooky but amazing. Alright. So, is that how like people keep ending up in the same situations? Is it because of the patterns matching
Exactly,
up that their life
exactly,
also starts reflecting the same patterns?
absolutely, absolutely,
Wow.
absolutely.
The kind of work that you do, it is relevant in every time, like anytime it's relevant. But considering how the situations are right now, that for the first time ever in the history, we are at home not by choice, but it's a mandatory thing. So, why do you think, like, of course, people are talking a lot about the physical health, but not so much about the mental health. So, in your opinion, why do you think mental health is talking about mental health, and especially taking care of mental health, is relevant at this time?
Very good question, actually. So, in NLP, there is a belief that mind and body are part of the same system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, as much as physical exercise is important, but it's equally important to have mental health as well. Okay. So, I'll give you an example. Let's say you are overthinking. Okay, you are thinking too much, like what's going to happen tomorrow, what if the lockdown extends, and the jobs and everything, you're continuously thinking about those, right? And as a result, you develop a headache.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get a headache, next morning when you wake up, would you be able to get into that physical regime? Possibly no,
Right.
because the mind is not in that state to be able to do physical exercises.
Mm.
So at least in this point in time, it's very, very important to take care of our mental health. Physical health, of course, is there, but especially this time is really, really important to take care of our mental health.
So I really liked how you took, like, the example of overthinking, because personally I'm there right now. So there are days when I'm here, and then there are days when I'm here. And especially about overthinking, so that's like our brain, it is like fire and flight, right? When you're thinking about something, it seems like a logical thing to do, because you are trying to find solutions. But then how do you know that you have crossed over to the overthinking part, or how do you know that where you have to stop? Because sometimes to me it seems like the most logical thing to do, that maybe what I'm trying to do is trying to find a solution. But yes, I know
Mhm.
towards the end it's not always fruitful, but sometimes it is. So isn't it like a very natural response to think? When does it become overthinking?
Okay, so too many. If I chunk down your this big long sentence, there will be like different small chunks, and each small chunk will have like a big, big answer, right? So first of all, talking about your fight and flight response, that overthinking. So see, the situation is like this for almost everybody, right? For some it's like severe, for some it's like less impactful, for some it's more, but everybody in some way or the other is impacted, right? Now there are two ways to look at it. Okay, if you look at it look everything from the outer perspective, like, oh my god, looking at the situation, what will happen, like you said, overthinking that what will happen tomorrow, there are so many losses, jobs are getting slashed and all. So either you have this choice to continue looking outside and continue to feel miserable.
Hmm.
That's one choice, right? The second choice is to look within, okay, and ask yourself that what can I do in this situation.
Hmm.
Okay, so I'll give you an example. It's a real time example that happened like early this week only, when I was doing my first online NLP practitioner workshop. And one of my participants had exactly the same question. So towards the beginning of the session, he said that, I'm feeling very nervous because he's into staffing, HR recruitment and staffing business. And now many companies are not in the staffing mode, they're in the retrenchment mode. So he was feeling very nervous that how do I, how am I going to take care of the business? And I asked him this question, that what can you do about it? He said, I can't do anything. I said, no, that's never the answer. It's just that you have not, like, your focus is just like this, right? The moment you open up this horizon and expand it, you will have tons of choices. So I gave an exercise to the other participants and I asked them that, okay, you all are in different trades, different businesses, different jobs. So what can you do apart from what you're doing currently? And give me at least five choices. So I gave them a first choice of coming up with five different options, however random they are, not restrict whether it's logical, it's illogical.
Hmm.
And you won't believe, this person who was saying that, I'm feeling nervous, he came up with 10 options.
Oh, wow.
Okay, now what was even exciting, okay, so one, of course, he had 10 options. And the second thing, which was super exciting for me as well as a trainer, was to bring about transformation, like you asked the first question. In a span of almost like 1 hour, so that our training was for 2 hours each, when he asked this question, from then till in the next, I think, 1 hour or 1 hour 10 minutes, I could see his facial expressions change.
Wow.
Okay, not expressions actually. So what happens is, when we are tensed, right, so this portion, there is some like tension which is visible here. In a span of 1 hour, I could see some glow happening here.
Wow.
And I said, how many solutions have you got and what's going in the back of your mind? So he said, how did you know? I said, well, I calibrate. And that's one of the core skills of, NLP, that, you calibrate for micro muscle changes in people. And he said, Achla, I'm feeling so good. I wanted to personally tell you, but because you have found it out here only, I'm feeling so much powerful that yes, I can do it.
Wow.
And that mere shift in thought just brought about an entire change in his neurology. And
Wow.
that was wonderful. And these are like miracles that keep happening in our sessions. So my mentor and my guru, Mr. Muhammad Rafi, I've learned this from him. And I have my immense gratitude for him for coaching me, for mentoring me in this manner, that I'm able to bring about shifts in people so quickly.
Sometimes you don't know when you have crossed over that line. So one is like
Mm,
thinking, you are deep thinking, and the other is overthinking. So how
right.
can someone catch that place where they are literally going, towards that downward spiral of overthinking? So deep thinking is like
Okay.
thinking deeply, finding solution, but overthinking is you are getting into a dark place. How do you differentiate?
Okay.
How do you catch
So I'll pause you here. Yeah, I'll pause you here because uh, there are two things. So, like you said, deep thinking and overthinking, right? Now, how do you identify whether I'm thinking deeply or I'm overthinking,
that?
right? So, according to us, there is nothing right or wrong and good or bad.
Right.
Okay. So, for us, things are either resourceful. Resourceful means that what is helping you,
Ah.
okay, helping in thinking. And the other is unresourceful. Unresourceful means that when you are thinking about it, you've started to feel low already.
Mm.
Now, what the difference between deep thinking and overthinking, again in literal sense, means, if you are overthinking and it's making you feel unresourceful,
Mm.
it means that that's not going to work out. You are just going in a spiral wind, right?
Right.
But deep thinking, uh, possibly it could be resourceful, because when you have to strategize a new business or a new project, then you have to deep think, then you're not overthinking, right? That's my perspective. People may have different perspective, this is my perspective. So I find out, okay, if something I'm thinking, it's making me feel resourceful, I will continue to do that. But
Yeah.
the moment I feel that it's like not helping me, I will stop it. Now the key here is to be aware of your own thinking patterns.
Mm.
Unfortunately, not many people have that awareness, okay? And they don't know when from deep thinking they are getting into overthinking, and overthinking is leading to a stress or a migraine, or just getting more fearful that, oops, what will happen if this happens. So uh, when we are overthinking, our reptilian brain is at work, which is the most primitive part of the brain. But when we are thinking rationally, logically, then we are using the most advanced part of our brain, that's the neocortex, right?
Mm.
And that helps us to take decisions rationally and logically without losing our mental balance, without losing our emotional state. So that's one of the key exercises that we focus upon for our participants in the programs that we do. And I think that's one of the key takeaways for my participants, because I personally have been transformed using this exercise. I used to be like, an overthinker, a very fearful person, like 5 years back.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, okay, any challenge, bring it on, you know. So I mean, that exercise has really rewired my neurology, and because of that, I'm like always in this zone, where I'm not feeling a victim or feeling defeated or anything.
Amazing. I really loved, and this is something that personally I'm going to use now. I really loved how you um, talked about resourcefulness and unresourcefulness.
And resourcefulness. Yep.
Because sometimes, I mean, it's a very different perspective, because if that helps you understand that if it is needed for you to think deeply, you would without feeling guilty, because this time it's helping me, versus yes, this is not
Absolutely.
helping me, let's move on, let's think about something else. So it's a very quick
Absolutely.
trigger, but I think it's very helpful. So talking about the situations that are going right now, how do you think, what should be like if somebody has to transform at this moment? What should be the
Hmm.
first step that they should take?
Um, Transform at this point in time. See, any time, whether in these times, whether in any normal situation, I think we need to have rock solid beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what I mean by that is, okay, so what is the difference between an ordinary person and a warrior? Okay, a warrior would consider any situation as a challenge,
Hmm.
and an ordinary person would take any situation either as a curse or as a blessing. Okay, now if he takes any situation which is not as per his liking or as per his wants, he will think that it's a curse or I am unlucky. And these are all beliefs,
Hmm.
right, which come into play. And if a person is feeling that, oh, the situation is according to me, then he feels blessed. So his mindset is wavering between the situations that are coming outside of him.
Hmm.
But if you have a rock solid belief or a mindset like a warrior has, right, then you see any situation and you can either use it as an opportunity and
Right.
you feel like strong about it. And if you feel challenged, then you can ask that, okay, how do I come out of this challenge?
Hmm.
So having those beliefs is like having this rock solid belief is very, very important. And I personally have a whole set of resourceful beliefs which help me in any situation, right? So one of the most powerful beliefs that I have is, which has helped me to come out of any situation, which has helped me to take initiatives, which has helped me not to get fearful, and just experiment and come out of my own limitation. And that belief is, what worst will happen,
Ah, right.
right? So if I ask myself, in smallest of the initiatives that I take, okay, what worst will happen, my mind will give the answer that, oh, okay, nothing much, or this will happen, that will happen. So once I have accepted the outcome or the result, I'm like, okay with it, you
Right.
know but if somebody has a belief that, oh my god, what if I fail, I am already so unlucky. Situations and things don't go according to me. Whenever I try something, I fail. These are also beliefs, right? And when they have these kind of beliefs, they just limit the person,
Hmm.
right? So having rock solid beliefs is like very very important. That's one thing which I can think of. There are many of them, but yeah, having beliefs is like really really important. Strong beliefs.
That's amazing. So, the part, what I have noticed is that this is an amazing, I mean, it's a very powerful reminder, you telling that what is the worst that would happen. So, there's this phrase, right? That whatever doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. And it's true. But, so, let's talk more about it. So, let's say you understand that there are certain beliefs that you should have, or, you need to have, and you realize it at that moment. Then how, what are, maybe the rituals or the practices through which these beliefs can be reinforced? How do you reinforce these beliefs? What do you do to reinforce them?
Okay, so these have now become a part of my muscle memory. Muscle memory means that I don't have to remind myself each time, or I don't have to be aware. It's in my muscles, it's in my blood, right? So when we do something over a period of time, it becomes a habit, right? But for people who don't have this as a habit, they can see things from different perspectives, right? So for example, um, we are in this times right now, right? For some people, it is like a war, or it's like, so lockdown itself is like, such a huge thing on our mindset, right? So if you think about lockdown as, oh, I'm like tired, I'm not being able to move. And I like the way you said it's like a vacation, a forced vacation. Now just imagine, if you think it as a lockdown, how will you start to feel about it?
Hmm.
You'll feel restricted. But the moment you change it to a vacation, you'll be like, oh, okay, I have only this much area to spend my vacation in. So the point here is that anything has got different perspectives.
Hmm.
When you start to look at things at from a bigger horizon, then, and a more positive horizon, then they don't sort of hamper you. So
Right.
you have got all the resources within you. How you use it is up to you.
Right. So do you think words have a role to play? Like, what are some of the empowering words that somebody can start using?
Oh, of course, of course. See, words are, how does our mind understand? So, there is one tool of NLP that we use, which is called metaphors. Okay, metaphors, simple, what we had learned in English. Now, metaphors are the language that our brain understands,
Uh,
right? So, for example, if you say that, if I ask you that, oh, okay, Jagrati, so how's life? And you say, Achla, life is like an ice cream. Okay, then I would understand that, oh, okay, ice cream means that, what is it? It's like, uh, it's like tasty, it's cool, it's delicious, and it is also solid right now, and it might melt in a few minutes if it's not kept in the refrigerator.
ah.
Okay. And if I ask you, okay, Jagrati, how's life? And you say that, life is like a bed of thorns,
Hmm.
right? So I, as a trainer, won't even need to ask you that what challenges you are going through, because that one metaphor has said it all.
Hmm.
Okay. Now the beauty is that as an outsider, as a NLP trainer, I'm able to understand that. the other people will just simply take it as words, but your neurology will understand it the way you perceive ice cream as. So if you say that my life is like an ice cream, you are giving a command to your brain that, hey, life is cool,
Hmm.
right? The moment you say life is like a bed of thorns, you are giving a command to your mind that it's thorns and it will prick, and
Ah,
naturally you will start to respond in the same manner without even your awareness.
wow.
So that's the importance of words that you use.
Wow.
So we always advise people to use words which are which are more powerful, but the problem is that language is unconscious, so we cannot think and say unless we have learned something and then we are saying. But if you just do an extempore, it will just come naturally. So whatever is in your mind, it will come through in your language,
Wow.
and words tell a lot about what you're going through.
So this is a very interesting perspective. So you talked about how, like, the words that I'm using, maybe you can judge that, what my like
It's
perspective.
not judge, it's not judge,
Yeah,
right?
sorry, you can make out.
Yeah, because judge, the moment, so again, I'm sorry if I stopped you here, but I wanted to bring it across, because the moment you use the word judge, you are like, your mind is conscious, and the radars are like open. Oh, I'm being judged.
Right, right, right,
you
right.
know so we don't judge, we just look into patterns, that's it.
Wow. So yes, so you mentioned that. Thank you so much. Like, again, something really important for me for the kind of words that I use. Again, a powerful reminder. So you mentioned that our brain perceives things, and we may not even, they are unconscious, right? So I just want to know that, let's say if I'm saying something to you, and does the word do the words that I use also affect the other person? Like, does they affect their neurology, or the way they are, they perceive things? Does that change that also in their brain?
Okay, so it's not as simple as it sounds. Okay, because each person has got a different emotional state.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what you have said to me, so let's imagine you have said one statement. Give me any statement. Okay, I'll give you a live example then. Give me any statement which is not very forthcoming or very happening or very encouraging. Some statement which is like,
So people do not understand the kind of work that I do. That's,
ah,
yeah.
okay, so this is about you, not about them, right?
Oh,
Okay, so let's say you tell me that, Achla, people don't understand the kind of work that I do, right? Now, it depends on me, my emotional state, that, are you referring people as me?
ah,
Okay.
mm,
Now, if I am in a very unresourceful state, and if you come up to me and say that, Achla, people don't consider the kind of work that I do or the efforts I put, immediately I will be like, what do you mean? When did I tell you that, I don't trust you? And instantly my body and my state will change,
right.
if I'm not in a very resourceful state, right? If I'm in a resourceful state, or let's say somebody else, let's say 10 people are sitting here, each of those 10 people will perceive this statement according to what they want.
Hmm.
Okay, and having said this, it doesn't mean that one person is right or one person is wrong. That's not the case at all. It
Right.
is only the emotional state that they are in.
Mm,
So if I am in a resourceful state and you say that, Ashla, people don't understand the kind of work that I do, I, being an NLP trainer, I would just ask you, okay, Jagrati, how many people?
hmm. Right.
Yeah. And possibly there would be only, like, 5 or maximum 10 or 15 people who would not appreciate the kind of work that you're doing.
Right.
So what I have done here is I have gotten you out of your own distorted belief that people don't value the kind of work that I do.
Yeah. Right. Right.
So it's like a deep subject. I could take, like, half hour to explain this.
Right.
But all I want to, like in a nutshell, I would just like to say that each person, depending on what mindset he or she is at any point,
Hmm.
they will respond or they will react in the same manner, irrespective of what your intention was.
So, the reason why I asked this question also was because I was like building upon it to the other question that I was about to ask, that right now, of course, that there are families who are not able to see each other. Let's say I have my cousins, my aunts, and my brother is not here. And people,
Mm-hmm.
they call each other. And usually the
Mm-hmm.
tone is very panicky.
Hmm.
My brother is in States right now, and the news always show the numbers which are not really good. My brother is very safe, but there are cousins who call, or there are my aunts, my uncles who are calling, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a certain sense of panic that is there. And I
Mm-hmm.
have seen this happening, like sometimes that panic penetrates into, let's say, my parents' mindset, and like the way also the fake news are spreading these days, and people do panic, it does impact. So I want
Mm-hmm.
to understand from you that when we are communicating to the other person, how should
Mm-hmm.
we be doing it such that like we show concern but it's not leading to any sort of panic or paranoia? How do we do that? How do we effectively communicate?
Uh, it's a very tricky question. And my personal experience is that, like you said, that, when we are in a panic situation, we talk to family, we talk to friends. Uh, Not the best outcome comes out of it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Even though, we are family, we are friends, we have the best interest of our people. But even then, somehow, if I am in a panic mode, how will I be able to give you solace?
Yeah.
Right. So it has happened with me too, that there are family members who are calling, and they're like, my brother is in Japan, and he's also like like, what's the situation here in India and all. So there is a difference. See, everything I see in terms of patterns, and how different a communication with a normal person and a coach or a trainer would be. So I'll give you a real life example. So there is this participant who has a, what do you call, salary cut. Okay. She was feeling very low. She reached out to one of her friend, and she was just talking about it, thinking that, okay, I'll just open my heart out and I'll start to feel better. Now what outcome really came out was not not very good. So she spoke to her best friend, and she said that, I've got like a salary cut. And the friend said, you know what, even I had a salary cut, and 2 days later we got the news that, we are we are retrenched.
Hmm.
Now the friend didn't have any intention to, like, make her even more stressed.
Hmm.
But what the discussion did was, this participant got more stressed than she was earlier.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why I'm not a huge fan of discussing things with people, only because, see, every person will have their set of beliefs, right?
Mhm.
And they will dump their beliefs on you,
Yeah, right.
and whether you want or whether you don't want, you will buy those beliefs,
Right.
unless you're very aware.
Mhm.
So it's more damage than that is done, rather than good, if you're talking like this. So I would suggest that, if there is any challenge or any anxiety about it or any stress about it, best is to seek professional help from a person who you trust, and who that yes, this person can help you out. That's
Right.
I think the best, because a normal discussion and a discussion with a coach or a therapist is way different. You will get more solutions, and your mind will start to change differently, more resourcefully, actually.
That's true.
So that's the importance.
So, in these times, I think the children, especially the children. So again, it's a forced vacation, especially for the children.
Hmm.
And I have friends in my network who are having hard time to engage their kids. So,
Hmm.
what do you think could be? What are the skills that you think parents can probably teach their kids, which can help them once they again go out to the world and it's a new
Oh,
world?
It's for kids, I think it's a blessing in disguise.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real blessing. Okay. So but for that, the parents have to be in like that resourceful state to be able to help children out. Now, I'm not a very big fan of the school teaching and the college teaching, right? Simply because they're teaching subjects which you may not be using, once you grow up. So you possibly not using what history or civics or geography or science if you're not in that profession today, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for children, this time, at least, this like remaining 15-20 days, if they still want to take control, parents can teach them so much, right? They can teach them the skills for life, skills that we learn in our MBA, skills which are like needed when we are working, and unfortunately when children pass out of college, they are like clueless of what to do. When they get into a job, they don't know many of the skills. So this is the best time to develop lot of skills in the children. It could be like teamwork.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the entire family can work as a team, and not the only the mother or the lady of the house is under pressure. Everybody, when they work as a team, not only it like they like appreciate each other, but also everybody starts to have the next skill, which is the sense of responsibility,
Mm-hmm. Right.
right? So when you are in your peak performance and you're helping the people around you, you are teaching them by action a team spirit. You're teaching them how to take responsibility of their own room, their own bed, cleaning and everything, right? Then you also are teaching them delegation. So like the mother is delegating to the one child, then he can delegate a little bit of work to the other one. So delegation also is adding on to responsibility and teamwork. Then
Mm-hmm.
they are accountable also for whatever work they were supposed to do,
Right.
right? Now is the time when things, we are not getting the grocery too much, as much as we could get earlier. The food supply, the vegetable supply is all like restricted, right? So we can also teach them how to economize on things,
Mm-hmm.
right? One of the other things you can teach them is financial management. Okay, that we have now this much money, let's see that what best we can do with this money. So you
Right.
are teaching them economics also, economizing the available resources. You are teaching them money management. You can also teach them creative thinking, that okay, um, let's say you are getting only paneer in the market, right? Now every day if you make the same kind of paneer, it'll be like boring. So okay, what creative things we can do with paneer? Okay, today we have made it this way, we can experiment more. So there is like so much to do, only if you start to think on those lines. So personally I believe that this is the best time for children to upskill themselves, learn more skills, do things which they have not been able to do, and most importantly, they will have a sense of gratitude, because earlier they didn't do things on their own, right? Now when they are doing things, doing the cleaning, doing the mopping, taking care of the utensils, or anything, they have gratitude for those maids who come to the home, who possibly some children would not even talk respectfully. So now they understand that it's a difficult job, it's physical labor.
Right. Right.
So yeah, it's a time for them to also learn the skill of gratitude,
That is
have that skill now.
That's amazing. I really liked how you talked about. So, upskilling, of course, professionals, we talk about upskilling, but I've never really thought of like this term used with respect to children. Like, children should also upskill, and it's amazing. Many people, for the first time, in the most conventional jobs, also, they are working for the first time from home, right? Working from
Hmm.
home is not like a very prevalent thing, especially in India.
Hmm.
What do you think? Do you think environment plays a role, and how can we make our environment such that we are conducive, we are productive even at home?
Honestly, even I'm working for the first time from home. So it's a work from home for me also, for the first time. Like couple of days, till the time you get adapted to the new environment, it's like it's like teething troubles, because things are not in perspective. you have suddenly got like overworked. There is no maid, there is no cook,
Right.
children are at home, and they feel hungry, every few minutes, and you have your own work. So it's like, if you don't like be aware, then it becomes like a daunting thing, right? So one of the things which we can make, so environment, I personally believe that, if I rely on the environment, I may or may not be successful.
Right.
So the best thing for me is to make the environment hygienic for me, so that I am also at peace and everybody else in the ecology also is at peace.
Mm.
So one of the things that I did was to set the expectations right, that okay, this is what I can do, and what is your take on it. So we came to a consensus, so that I'm able to concentrate on the home chores and also on my work. So that's one, managing the expectations. The other, of course, is you have to, again, like you said, the words. So if I continuously tell myself that, oh my god, I'm overburdened, oh my god, I'm overburdened, right, then at the back of my mind it will play in my mind that I am overburdened, and it will appear in my physiology. But the moment I tell myself, oh wow, so we have only what, 1 month to sit at home and work from here, so maybe I'll like use 1 hour and have lunch with my family,
Mm.
right? So
Right.
this opportunity I may not get, once we get back, and once I've started to work in office. So it depends on the story that you're telling yourself.
Wow.
The more powerful or the more resourceful story, the better it is. And environment, yes, of course, it does impact, but I believe that we have got all the resources within us, so I it's my duty to make the environment conducive for myself, because nobody else will do,
That's true. That's true.
right?
Let's talk about there are some people who do journals. I mean, I keep reading this stuff. Some people say that daily rituals are very important, morning rituals are
Mm-hmm.
important, evening rituals are important, you should have a meditation practice, you should have an exercise practice, and all those things.
Mm-hmm.
um, just to simplify, I want to understand from you that what are some of the daily, first of course, what is the role of a daily practice, and then
Mm-hmm.
what is the simple, like, what are some of the simple practices that somebody can have, to be at a better, to be at a resourceful state, so to say.
See, each person will have his own mindset about any particular thing, so we can't generalize, because what may work for me may not work for you, simply because there is something which is very close to me, and that thing might not be very close to you. So for example, I would meditate, right? But if you're not a person who would meditate, and you will just think that, oh okay, because Achla said that I should also do, you will do it possibly for 2 days, 3 days, and then you will stop it. And
Yeah.
this is why it's very important for people to understand that what motivates me as
Mm.
an individual,
Right.
right? So that's why there is no general rule for everybody. Each person first needs to identify that, okay, what he wants. Sadly, many people don't even know what they want.
That's
They're just like moving in a direction which is like, they don't know where they have to go. So uh, first and foremost, it's very important to have clarity about your own self, that
Mhm.
okay, which path do I want to go, and then okay, what are the tools that I can use to help my journey sail through easily, right? Then you will identify that, oh okay, is meditation required for me, is meeting these people important for me, or cutting these people from my social circle is important. So for me, if you ask me, uh, uh, first of all is having a mindset which is not restricted is important for me.
Mm.
Okay, the mindset that that I can't do this, or that victim mindset. So I identified my patterns, that okay, what are some of my unresourceful patterns,
Mm.
right? Who are the people who I'm spending time with, who are like energy suckers,
Mm.
right? And what can I do about it then?
Right.
So it's a very conscious effort, and it is like ongoing, you
Wow.
know. So you can't have one consistent practice, at least for me. I don't know about others, because many people follow, like, a daily exercise or a daily meditation. I just when I wake up in the morning, I just spend time, like 5 minutes. I just while on the bed only, I just keep my eyes closed, and I just visualize my day. I'm commanding my mind to make my day as per what I want.
It's like
Having
setting
said that,
intention for the day. Setting up an
yeah,
intention
setting the
for the day.
intention, absolutely. So when I have set an intention that I'm going to be resourceful, I'm going to be happy, then anything that is coming from the environment which is not conducive, I will have that clarity to just cut, whatever is not conducive for me. So that makes me more energetic,
Hmm.
and I'm aware that, okay, this is what I need, this is what I don't need. I'm like, like rationing things, from my daily routine.
That's
So,
amazing. So I think you mentioned this earlier and maybe right now also. Can you like really command your brain? Is it possible that you command
yeah.
your brain?
Oh yeah, absolutely, why not? Your strangely, people look out for friends and enemies outside. Okay. This is a myth, a biggest myth, that, oh, he's my friend, he's my enemy. Oh, you listen to me, so you're my friend. You didn't listen to me, so you're not my friend. Right? This is how people, talk and behave and think. I feel that my best friend, if I have conditioned my mind is my best friend.
Hmm.
And if I have not been able to condition my mind, which means that my mind is ruling me, then that's my biggest enemy. I have no enemy outside in this world except for my own mind if I have not conditioned it. So it's like, if, okay, I'll give you an example, like how it is your friend and how it's your enemy and how you can identify, right? So when you are wanting to do something, okay, or let's say you are sitting alone, right, and you're feeling anxious all the time,
Hmm.
that's the time to understand that your mind is your enemy, because it'll put you in that circle of victim mode, anxious mode, depressed mode. and uh, and in this time the mind acts like a termite, you
Hmm.
know. So a termite, what does it do? It's though it's so small, but it will constantly, prick the wood, and it'll just make it absolutely like empty,
Right.
right? On the other hand, this mind can also be like an elephant, like that huge size. And when you condition it, it'll be like, you are the king.
Right.
So who makes you a king or who makes you a beggar? It's nothing but your own mind.
Wow. So you
So
can
if you
actually like have a conversation with it that, hey, how are you doing? Like, what is going on in you? Like you
Yeah,
can have these sort of conversation with it.
yeah. And one of the ways I got out of my, see, the inherent feature of the mind is to, come up with thoughts. Okay. And majority of the thoughts are like negative,
Hmm.
right? So a normal person who's sitting, anybody for that matter, right? The thoughts will keep coming, and they will be like, like putting them into fear, because that's the function of the mind, to make you to it has the interest of safeguarding you. And
Survival.
it doesn't work. Yeah, and it doesn't work want you to get into a zone which is like uncomfortable, right? So it'll keep warning you that, no, 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 you shouldn't do this. So that's like a fear which is dwelling in. But the moment you are like, hey, relax, I let me try. What worse will happen? Okay. Maximum, I won't die. Even if I die, I'll take a new birth. So what's the problem?
Right.
So this is the kind of discussion when you have with your mind, and like it satiates, and it's like, oh, okay, okay, let's try. So you are constantly talking with your mind, and if your mind is your friend, then you've like, you've achieved. And the small chunk of people who are like who's who of the world and very successful in life are the ones who have learned how to manage their minds.
This is amazing. I really loved, like, how you were describing it. It seemed like, right now the conversation is, one way, like your mind is telling you this, you're not good enough, you're doing this wrong, why are
Exactly.
you doing this, you should be guilty. So it's one way.
Right.
And you can
Yep.
actually set up like a two-way conversation with it, where you
Two
can
way.
say that, hey, what happened, let me just do it, let me deal with it, and then brain says, okay, just let's try this. So having a two-way sort of communication, how it is supposed
Yeah.
to be in a relationship.
So, so one of the things I teach in my, I train people on in my workshops is how to. So there is a part in our brain which is called reticular.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and this part in the brain is actually imperative to bring about the kind of answers that we are asking. Okay, so the brain, this part doesn't know the difference between good or bad, what is good for me or what is bad for me. It's like that, obedient servant. So
Ah.
whatever command I give to my mind, my reticular, what it will do is it will start to give backup material. So for example, very simply, if I have a thought that I'm lucky,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so what reticular does is it will, from my childhood, from my past, it will start to give all those backup materials to prove that yes, I'm lucky.
Oh, wow.
Even though it doesn't know that, what is lucky. It is just doing the job of, so like what the computer does, you search something and you get that. The computer doesn't know whether, this is good or bad. You have just asked, you have given a command, and the computer is giving you all the backup material which is there in your drive.
Wow.
Now that drive is in our mind also, right? So that's why we say that thoughts are important, words are important, because the kind of words, the kind of thoughts we are asking, our mind is just giving us those backup materials. Now if I say that, okay, you know what, I'm very unlucky. Now what my mind is will do, my reticular will do, it will bring all the data from my past to prove that yes, I'm unlucky. And then my belief will be reinstated that yes, that happened when I was 10 years old, then when I was 15 years old that happened, and all that, jing bang will start to come.
Oh, wow.
So so the reticular will give all the material to you. You ask a question and you'll get the answer.
This is so cool. I mean, I'm just, it's like you have an encyclopedia. So I've always, like, you always hear these things that whatever is there is inside of you. But now, from a very neurological and biological perspective, it literally is. It's not like hocus pocus or anything. It literally is. That's amazing. People are together as a family, and nobody was really getting this much time to be together, so people are not used to living in the confines of home for like a month, for 24 hours,
Mhm.
7 days a week, like that. So how do you think one can have like a really good relationship, like nurturing relationships during this time, though it sounds intuitive that since people are together they would have good relationships, but
Mhm.
actually it can lead to a lot of conflict. So how do you think we can manage our relationships in a better way during these times?
You know what? It's a very good question, because we are not used to be staying with our family members together. We have just seen them for very less time, and because the situation these days is not very conducive. At times, so at one point in time, people thought that, oh, it's an opportunity to stay together,
Yeah.
but over a period of time, what I have noticed and understood and heard from people is that they're like, more than the jobs or anything, they just want the lockdown to get over because they cannot handle their family members anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so so to make that, so we still have like a couple of days more. So I was thinking of doing a webinar for people on how to manage their relations, actually how to repair the relationships using the lockdown. So it's called RYR, using lockdown, repair your relations using the lockdown. So in that I'm like training them, or touching upon points and areas on how you can condition yourself and make the best of whatever is available outside. See, because we if we are not valuing, or we are not appreciating the fact that this is the time when we at least are safe, our family members are in front of our eyes, right? Imagine somebody who like, your example, your brother is in US, right? Your parents are getting panicked, he's worried about you, you're worried about him. So this is, so your brother is still in a very good situation. Imagine if somebody who is having a hard time, their family is not together, they are not having the resources, they don't have the money, they're not in, the metro cities. What about them,
Hmm.
right? So we we as human beings, are never thankful unless we are taught to be thankful. We're
Right.
just trying to look for things that, that are pricking, or that, complaining mode. So that's the reason why I came up with this webinar. And maybe on, you can let your participants or your followers know about it. It's for 99 rupees only, and it's a 1 hour webinar wherein I'm talking about how to repair your relations during the lockdown. So it's an opportunity to understand your own patterns, your family members patterns, and to make them more resourceful, and make their patterns more more powerful.
Before we take the leave, I would like to know from you that our audience, where can they find you? Where can they know more about you?
Oh, I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm a co-founder in Magic of Change with my mentor, Mr. Mohammed Rafi. We have the website, nlptrainingworld.com. And we are also now coming up. We have, in fact, in these times, one more thing, you didn't ask, but I would also like to tell the viewers or the audience. One thing is that many people are thinking that once the lockdown will get over, we'll do this, we'll do that. We're just waiting for the right time to come. So one thing that I would like to say from our experience is that there is no better time than right now,
Wow. Hmm.
right? So there's a very famous saying which says that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years back, and the next best time is now,
Yeah.
right? So I'm a strong believer of that. And and we have this program which is starting from 20th, that's called Success Momentum. And in that Success Momentum, it's a 7 days program wherein we are talking about how we can develop behaviors in ourselves which will help us to become more resilient, more creative, more aware, and just not remain like a victim to, the external environment. So that's something which is like a winner's mindset. So we are, mind trainers. So for us everything is like a mind thing. So how we can condition our minds, how we can condition the minds of our participants. And we have a tribe which we have helped them out, and we have seen a lot of positive changes in them because of the Success Momentum program. It was like for 14 days. And after the 14 days there is like so much change which they have already felt within them. So there's no time to wait, that when this happens, when that happens, if this happens then what, if that doesn't happen then what. Nothing of that thing. It's anything is like right now. If you've lost now, then you've if you lost one day. So that's how we are doing a second program. So
Amazing.
yeah,
Thank you so much, Achlaji, for being there, being here, talking to us, and giving us so many.
that's my pleasure.
I really loved how you so the lesson, especially with regards to resourcefulness and unresourcefulness. These were just two words that I knew, but now they have like a whole lot of another meaning to me, and I'm
Absolutely.
sure for many others. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you. And
Thank
I
you.
hope that I have been able to bring about at least 1% of change in, even in one person's life, then I'll feel myself to be blessed.
Count me in, so you can you can say that you did. So thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, dear. Take care.
Thank you so much for staying with us till the end, and I really hope that this episode was useful for you. Let me know in the comment section if there is something that you would like to ask from our next guest, or if you have any feedback for us. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy.